Follow along with me to make this lobster clasp. Here is a list of all the supplies used in making this video, all of which can be found on Amazon. So I'm starting with 16 gauge copper wire. I'm filing down the end to make it smooth. Yes, I'm using a metal file from a nail filer, but I've never used this. It's clean and does the job. Next, I'm taking my round nose pliers, that newly filed down edge, and I'm going to get as close to the edge as possible and bend the wire around the round nose plier backwards, creating a little loop as seen here. Now that I have the little loop for the edge of the lobster part of the clasp done, I'm just taking a pencil because it's around my house and it forms the loop that I need perfectly. Why spend money when you have the items at home? So now you see the pencil created that nice loop. Now that I have that loop form, I'm taking my round nose pliers. I'm going to then hold the wire, bend it away from myself and the loop as seen here. Then I'm going to slide the wire down towards the thicker end of the round nose pliers and wrap it around, creating a full loop as you see me doing right here. Now that I have my loop form, I'm going to then take my round nose pliers, hold the loop, and then begin wrapping the long tail of the wire around the straight piece of the clasp. This makes the straight end of the clasp a lot stronger, thus being able to withstand daily wear and tear. So now that you see I begin wrapping it, I'm just going to wrap it around a few times, going almost all the way up to where it meets the part of the clasp that's going to be able to open and close. Once I have it wrapped, I'm then going to cut it. Now that it is cut, I left the little tail end out, in which I'm going to file down this tail end and then push it in all the way. So now you see it's being filed. Now that I filed it off camera, I'm just taking some crimp pliers and I'm going to push it in with my crimp pliers. This helps me get a nice tight fit around the wire so it does not stick out and poke with everyday wear and tear. After I use my crimp pliers, I'm then going in with a final push with my flat nose pliers. You don't have to do this is just me. Now to make the other end of the clasp, I'm again taking my wire. I'm going down about 2 inches of the wire with my round nose pliers at the small end. I'm going to bend it at a 90-degree angle, then take the wire, move it down all the way to the wider part of the round nose pliers to create a slightly larger circle. This is so the lobster part of the clasp can go inside. Once I've taken it, I've bent it around the larger end of the round nose pliers. I'm then going to hold it as firmly as possible and begin wrapping that tail around the longer part of the wire as you see me doing here. Now, this part of the tail, you don't have to worry about having it pushed in as firmly, so I'm taking my flat nose pliers and I'm wrapping it around to get a little bit of a tighter wrap, and then I'm going to push it in, but I'm not stressing this tail as much. I'm just going to file it and have it done, because now I'm going to take the other end and I'm going to go about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch down, depends on how big you want it, and I'm going to make the smaller end of this clasp that's going to attach to my bracelet. So again, I'm taking the wire, holding it by the smaller end of the round nose pliers, going to bend it back, then begin this time just bending it around the end of the round nose pliers, the smaller end, because I want this loop or this circle to be smaller than the other one, because again, this part is for the bracelet. Now that I have that loop formed, as you see here, I'm going to then go ahead and, as I did previously, begin wrapping this tail around the small part of the clasp. Again, this makes this clasp a lot more sturdy and allows for you to be able to wear this bracelet pretty much every day. So as you see, I'm wrapping it around, and once I get down to where the two part of the wires meet, this is where you can stop, clip it, file it, and be done. Or if you want to make this clasp a little fancier, you can go on ahead like I'm doing and then wrap this wire down a little further, thus creating a little thicker of a clasp, but it also gives it a nice little design flair, making this truly one of a kind. So you see it's wrapped all the way around back up to the smaller end of the two loops, the end that will connect to the bracelet. That's where I'm going to clip a little bit out, then I filed off camera, and now again I'm taking my bead crimpers, because this is the end I want to go as tightly as possible. So I'm taking my bead crimpers, and first I'm wrapping it and pushing it at the same time to get as closely as possible. And now you see both of the pieces of the lobster clasp are done. You could have stopped there, or you can take it one step further like you see me doing now, which is taking my hammer and my anvil and giving both pieces of the lobster clasp a few whacks on both sides. This hardens the metal, makes it a little stiffer, thus making sure that the lobster won't be able to open and close very easily, so it'll be able to withstand everyday wear and tear as you're moving around, dealing with children, washing dishes, and it also gives it a nice little flattened design. So I'm just taking my hammer, placing it on my anvil, and lightly tapping up and down towards both ends of the lobster clasp. You'll see that once you hammer it, it'll start to flatten, and this will make the metal a little harder and make it a little stiffer, and again, this makes it so that it doesn't move. So now you see me, I'm taking the larger end of the circles and I'm tapping the part that I can get on the anvil. I'm not worried about the smaller end of the circles because they're so small, and with the metal being around 15 gauge wire, they're not going to move or bend or shape or anything. So now you see it is complete, and thank you for watching.